All right. I'm sure people are going to come on, and let me just, hey, Chris is on there. Brett is on there. Perfect. So let me welcome you guys. This is Nina. She actually has 30 years of video production and 20 years doing her business. And now what she's doing is she's helping small businesses really stand out through video.
Hi, guys.
Hi. So let's, Nina, just take it off, and I'm going to start with
All right, I'm going to start. Ooh, one more.
Perfect.
Cool. So hi guys, I have a pretty massive PowerPoint. I won't go through every single slide. And I would say that what we'll do is we'll just save your questions for the question part, so I can sort of kind of get through the slides swiftly. Unless you have a super burning question, then just you know, unmute yourself and interrupt me. I'm going to switch over to sharing. Share screen. Here we go. Are you all seeing a...
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm giving away my challenge before I even have gotten to...
I am not looking. I promise.
All right, pause share. Okay, and now I need to be able to get out of this slide deck. Hold on one second. Technical difficulty. That's my contact information. Here we go. All right. Well, my computer is playing crazy. We just practiced this. Hold on. PowerPoint. Here we go. Escape. All right, now we go. That's what I get for showing off Tanya my challenge. So, all right.
We still don't see the first slide.
You still don't see the first slide.
We just still see the challenge.
You still see the challenge, so you've all had ample time to read it. So get ready. So now you should see the slide, right?
Yep.
Okay, good.
No, we don't, Nina.
You don't?
No.
All right. In the meantime, my mouse has also quit working altogether. There we go. New share. All right.
Great. Now we're in.
You see the PowerPoint?
Yep.
Great, but it won't work for me. That's the funny thing now. I can't manipulate it. All right. Oh boy. Yeah, my mouse has completely gone nuts. All right, so I'm just going to start talking while I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my computer here. Oh my God, Lordy. All right. I don't have a mouse at my disposal, so.
You could probably use the arrows.
No. Do you hear the binging in the background?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's my computer going like, no way.
So why not stop sharing and see what happens? Oh, Nina, you're on mute now. Okay, I'm going to unmute you. Stop sharing. And then
I can't get my mouse to go there. You know what I mean? Oh, here. Okay. This is my first slide. Do you see this?
yes, the video mark.
Okay, let me see. Okay, good. All right. So my first slide. So I like things organized. I like little, you know, so I created this beautiful 5-step process of video marketing, and it goes clockwise. Like companies called Clockwise Productions. So I just wanted to quickly show you this slide because that's the order we're going to go in. So strategy is your first step, and I think that's your most important step when it comes to video.
We don't see anything. We only see video marketing tip of the iceberg.
So you not my slide deck is not sharing with you?
We see a slide deck, but we only see the first slide.
So, okay.
There we go. Now we have it. Got it. What is video marketing? Perfect.
Yeah. So the moment I share, my slide deck doesn't work anymore. Just FYI.
I can see your mouse moving and everything. We're good.
Okay, good. All right. So, yeah, I just can't advance, but that's okay. So we have strategy, which is, I think, the most important part. And can we mute people who are, that would be great. Help, viewing would be helpful. Is the most important part of video marketing. You want to make sure that you get that part right, because then I feel that everything else just automatically falls into place after that. The next step is storytelling. That's something we'll not spend much time on today, just because it is a whole, like, webinar in itself. But we'll touch on it as far as it will pertain us for this presentation. And then, of course, we have the shooting, we have the editing, and then the distribution. And the distribution circles right back into strategy. Some people would insert here analytics. I don't, because that is a whole other industry. But, I want to sort of just keep that in your mind, for you to keep in mind that analytics is really important if you want to move your video marketing efforts forward and make sure that you learn from what it is that you're doing. So I need to pause my share to be able to advance to the next slide. I'm sorry, I don't know why this is happening.
How about you send me that slideshow, and then I will go through it and share my screen, and then we can go through it.
Yes, I think that would be great. Let me stop share, stop share. Okay. All right. Actually, maybe if I stay within the, if I don't make it let me just.
It's just 12:07. Just send me in the meantime, Nina, as you're kind of going through it.
All right, let me grab it. Sorry for all of this. Tanya, you're getting it right now as a Dropbox file. All right. So I think, are you seeing my screen now with the deck not as a full deck?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's just go this. Okay, because this works for me. All right. So strategy. The one thing that this is something I bump against all the time. It's my quick little soapbox that I just like to share with people is don't get sidelined by cool apps and new technology. Keep it simple. For now, if you're starting out with video, think phone, and that's really it. Think your iPhone or your smartphone. That's as far as you need to go in the beginning, and you can get really good results just with the phone. Focus on your outcome. That's the single most important thing that a lot of people just forget to focus on. And then the last one is keep it simple, and I harp on that over and over again, and you will see it pop up throughout this presentation over and over again as well. So where do you start? When you've decided you want to do video, you want to, you're not hiring an agency. So what are your first steps that you're concerning yourself with? So some of these are really quick questions that just need to be asked and answered. It doesn't mean that it is a whole, huge affair, but you need to put your brain around these questions. So first one is, how does your video tie in with your overall marketing? Who's your audience, and on which channels does that audience hang out? And by channels, I mean social media, etc. What do you want your prospect to do after watching a video, which is one of my soapbox items? What video style works for your message, and on what platform are you going to use that video style? And I have a whole link, which I'm not going to click on, coming up soon, with where I'm putting you into an aggregation. It's like a Pinterest board with lots of video styles that you can look at, just to sort of wrap your brain around what's out there and what you can do yourself. And then another question is, what's my story? Well, we'll come to that in a moment as well. And then practical considerations. What is my time frame to get these videos done? What assets do I have? And a lot of people forget that they already have so much that they can use for video. It's your logo. It's the colors that you use on your websites, your corporate identity colors. It might be photo material that you have. It might be some old footage hanging out somewhere, a slide deck, et cetera, et cetera. So you can use a lot of the stuff that you already have in your overall marketing for video. And then, of course, what is your budget? And if you're doing it yourself, no budget is not a budget. Your time is very valuable. It's probably the most valuable asset that you have. So really think about whether you want to do everything yourself or whether you want to do what I call a hybrid approach between doing certain things yourself and outsourcing the parts that you're not particularly good at or that are just a time sink, like for instance editing. And then which leads into the last step, which is what can you do by yourself. Social media. I've actually spent a little time in preparation for this, sort of just making sure I'm on the up and up with the latest and newest, what's going on with social media and video. And what I hear, and I've heard this for a while, but it is still really prevalent, is, we all know that video is exploding, video marketing is exploding, but especially the bigger companies or even mid-sized companies are not pivoting fast enough, which for us small business owners can create an incredible opportunity to get ahead of the market. But that means consistent video content. So I just wanted to put that out there. And this is something I wrote down probably more for myself than anything else, is that millennials do expect videos to come in all shapes, sizes, and formats, and that they appear anywhere and everywhere. And I put that there because I do harp a little bit on the fact that video should be horizontal. And, there's, especially depending on where you host, and especially if you host via YouTube, that still holds true. But I think that is something that very quickly, I will have to rethink myself about too. I mean, I myself am now producing square videos for Instagram and Facebook. So just to sort of, start thinking out of the box, out of, traditional horizontal format. Social media channels so this slide is just basically to have it there. I'm not going to bore you with all the details. I tried to keep it updated and have it on the up and up. I think it is. And again, especially when it comes to social media, keep it simple, keep it short. You have 8 seconds to engage. And by contrast, if Goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds, just thought that was a cute little tidbit there. And then also mobile first. So whatever video produced, expect it to be listened or watched to on mobile. And the numbers are staggering, and I actually have them somewhere. I think it's the next slide. Yeah.
Could you go back to that slide for a second?
Say what?
Just go back to the previous slide for a moment.
Yep. And you're getting the slide deck after I have it ready already for you to put into the chat. And if any of these are not on the up and up, Eric, I'd love to know. Facebook, I just went through a couple of white papers. This is what I pulled out. What I think the most important thing I'm not going to go through every single point because we don't have the time, but 90% of all Facebook users worldwide sign on via mobile, 90%. And 85 of those watching are watching on mute. And I think that has huge ramifications, obviously, for how you produce your videos, especially when it comes to Facebook or for social media. So closed captioning, graphic support, it becomes hugely important. And then, hashtags are really important, but not in your video, obviously, but around your video, et cetera, et cetera. So you can look at the slide at your leisure time later on. What's really important is, and this goes on to keep it simple and keep it short, when you are creating a video, keep it to one task. Sometimes people try to do too much with one video and they try to introduce their company. And they also want to talk about all of their different services or products. And really, one video, one task. And I heard this the other day at a conference I was at, where they were talking about how to move your audience or your prospective, your leads. Move them per video. You're moving them from one spot in the buying cycle to the next. And I have this video here, which I will not go through, but again, this is more for you to have as a resource. It talks about what the content of your video should be, where to post it, what the call to action should be, and in what context the video should be. And again, these are just suggestions, but I hope that helps you kind of point down pinpoint what kind of video, what kind of content you want to have in your video. And since I just mentioned context, I just created this slide.
Wait, can you go back to the other slide, Nina? And
Yeah.
I think that's a really important one. So this is
you're getting this.
but just to get more context to it. So if somebody's thinking of a video, it's basically thinking if it's a problem, solution, and then follow what the content post call to action and context is. Is that what it is? So if somebody had a product awareness, they should look at number 3, right?
So if your client is already product aware, yes, you want to move them from product aware to considering buying from you, right? Or actually buying from you. So you're always moving a client or a prospect or a lead, I should say prospect or lead, from, you're moving them from problem aware to solution aware, from solution aware to product aware.
Got it. So it's a funnel. Okay.
It's a funnel, but I've also heard that funnel lately has started to not. So apparently there's changes in those funnels that are happening now as well. And it's not necessarily linear anymore. But the purpose of your video, even if you're skipping, it has to, even if you're going from problem aware directly to consideration, you need to take that into consideration, right? So you want to make sure that you're very clear on your outcome. But traditionally, you are going from problem aware to solution aware to product aware to consideration to rabid fans, right? Or retention or whatever. Context. This is a really simple thing to think about, but you have to think about it is, and I just basically make it 2 different buckets. The bucket of, your video goes on a journey through the world, which is social media, and the consideration of website. So is your video living within a context where the context, like let's say your website, creates what the sense that the video lives in? Or is this a video that has to stand on its own feet so it can go out and be shared, embedded, done whatever with, and it still says in the video, this is who I am, this is where you can reach me, and this is what I want you to do. So just be aware when you create the content of your video, including, a lower third or a call to action at the end, that you are clear on where this video lives and in what environment it lives. Does that make sense? All right. On to storytelling. As I said, I'm not going to go too much into this right now because this is a whole topic in itself. There are many different video formats and storytelling formats. I'm listing a couple here. Normally I do spend a good half an hour just going through this because it triggers, so for a lot of people, that's where you get triggered on, ooh, I could do this or that, or this would lend itself really well to what it is that I do. Here is, if you click on this, and I will not click on it because I don't want to screw up this presentation right now that it's working. I'm putting you into a Dropmark, Dropmark is like Pinterest, and it'll just give you, I have like 20 different videos in there, and they're all labeled, so you know what it is, why I put them up there, why you're looking at them. And they're simple. These are all simple examples, achievable samples. So this is the slide where I talk a little bit more about, your story. And I find that for small business owners, the your story part is actually quite simple. It is what is on your website. It is what you use to introduce yourself at a cocktail party. It is your elevator pitch. It is your synopsis. It's your brief introduction when you meet somebody. And that's as simple as it should be for a video too. Or the story when someone says, why did you start your business? That story that you tell when you have the cocktail in hand, you're like, well, let me tell you. Again, but in 90 seconds. So in a way, you have your story most likely already. It just might need a little bit of wordsmithing, but it is there. I would bet half my salary, non-existent salary. I would bet half of my salary on that. So with that, I want to move on to Shu. So as I said earlier on my soapbox, your phone, that is, this is all the equipment you need right now, right? It's your phone and all the text messages on it. So if you want to get a little fancier, the first thing I recommend people buy is something like this, right? It's just here, let's go to the next slide. It's a Joby grip. What you always want to make sure, that's like the first thing you want to get, is something that straps your phone in. Because this also allows you to strap your phone to a tripod. A professional tripod does not come with this mount, so you always need a mount. So I would say if there's any investment, it would be on either this guy here, the Joby, or a mount and a tripod. I'm listing my tripod because it's a kick-ass tripod and I love it, but it ain't cheap. So that's something you're getting if you're really like going regularly into video production. Otherwise, I would just go on Amazon, get the bestseller. It's going to be around $23 and just use it until it falls apart, which will probably be after a month or two, depending on how often you use it. Audio equipment. I have a couple of microphones here that I use. If you have an iPhone 7, you're basically stuck with this guy here, although I just ordered 2 more microphones, but they're also pretty expensive. This one is $199, but it's a Sennheiser. It's really great quality. The others I found are all around $120 as well. So with an iPhone 7, you're a little screwed on audio if you want to go super cheap. Yes, Eric?
Can you just use the 3.5 millimeter adapter?
No, I just did tests this weekend. I ordered about 6 different adapters. It doesn't work. It does not, the recording function does not work with an adapter.
Sucks.
That sucks. So, but I mean, the good news is if you are like, I'm in my office now, it's a quiet room. I don't have, I don't have a family running around, amok. I mean, I could totally just use the audio from my phone. It's good enough for a talkie.
I bet they're like Bluetooth mics too.
Say what?
I bet there's like Bluetooth mics. No.
Mics, no, I haven't seen one yet. I mean, there might be one out there. Doesn't mean because I haven't seen it doesn't exist. I shy away from wireless because wireless introduces a whole other host of audio issues and quality issues. So for our level of video, do it yourself or low budget, I would strongly encourage you to go with a wired mic. And then if you have anything else but an iPhone 7, and by the way, I've gone back to shooting with my 6 for this reason. If anything else but a 7 on the market, the Rhodes is the best seller. It's $70, but quite frankly, I have one for $28. I cannot hear the difference in the editing. So I would just again say go on Amazon and take whatever, what is a 3.5 millimeter or mini audio jack and go for what the best seller is. And it keeps changing. So I'm not, on these cheap ones, I'm not married to one brand over another. The main advantage here is that you can put some distance between yourself and the phone, and that if there is background noise, it helps a bit. Here are just some cables. Again, I'm not going to go into these are just extension cables that I have in here. I want to move to the actual shooting. The biggest mistake when filming is eye line, getting the eye line wrong. And I harp on that an awful lot. And again, I have some great video examples, which I will not click on because I'm afraid I'm going to lose. It doesn't switch over properly to screen share. And if you watch any videos out of this presentation, pick one of these because they're a scream. So these poor ladies, they work for an insurance company, and they were put into the situation where their eye line, the camera, right, so the camera's here. If I'm shooting, actually, I'm doing it wrong right now, so I'm just comfortable with the computer, but you want to have your eye line on the height of the mic, of the camera. And if you choose to talk to the camera, stick with it. So no shifting of eye lines to go and look and cheat and look at your cheat sheet or look at your notes or look at your bullet points, especially when people are consuming video on a close up and are seeing you on your phone. You can so totally tell if somebody is looking over to look at their cheat sheet while they're shooting, and it makes you look shifty. And it's one of my big pet peeves. So in these videos, you see, these are really great examples. And you'll see they actually have their cheat sheet above the camera, and it's a hoot. Apart from the fact also that they're reading, they're reading off their cheat sheet. They're not really talking naturally. And I know it's totally overused, but it still is so true. Rather than being perfect, you want to be authentic in your delivery. And the new buzzword that is all around these days is vulnerable. So you want to be authentic and you want to be vulnerable over being perfect. And I think that really holds true. Next slide is just some more examples of how the eyeline was done properly. And then as for framing, as you see right now, for instance, with my frame, it's okay to, just for aesthetics, to frame a head such that the top of the head is cut off, but you always need to leave space below the chin, because that's just gonna, this is just gonna be very awkward looking. So you definitely want to keep the framing as these examples are. And another thing that I never put people smack in the center, even if I'm talking directly into camera. I will position on the shoot people slightly off to the right or to the left. And if you choose an interview style shoot, I would create space into the direction of where the person's looking. So like the guy here with the red shirt on, right? So he's frame left and he's talking to the right. And you want to create space there because it sort of creates the idea of you being the interviewer. It puts you into that space. And it's a subconscious thing, but it really works that way. So the same thing with the gentleman on the right in the blue. Again, he's on the screen right. He's talking off to the left. And if you had him centered talking off to the left, you might not be able to tell why, but it just would look odd or it would feel wrong. And even here, this example of an old video I did of myself, I put myself a little off center. The other thing it does, and these are two considerations you want to take into consideration as well, is it creates space for graphic support. And if we're thinking about the fact that on Facebook everybody watches, or a lot of people watch their videos without audio, either you need closed captioning, which is another reason for having a lot of space down here, right between the chin and the chest, because the closed captioning ain't pretty, especially the one from YouTube. It's like big, bulky, and gross. And if you don't want to deal with that, you want to create your own, and you might want to put it into this space here. So it just gives you a little bit more breathing space and a little more space for graphic support. When it comes to light, I'm at this point, I'm just going to keep it real simple. I normally don't even break out my lights anymore. I have good light in my apartment. I just make sure that my light source comes from either in front of me or from a side, never behind me, because if it's behind me, the light's going to be so bright, it's going to make my face completely dark, and either the camera will focus on my face and then the back will be blown out, or the background will be what it's supposed to be, and the face will be too dark. And this again from framing, as you see, I left enough space down here for the closed captioning, and I have space here to put graphic support. And again, for bullet by bullet, you have access to this PowerPoint afterwards if you want to go through that in more detail. If you are shooting B-roll, is everybody clear on what B-roll is, or should I explain that? Explain it? Okay. So
yeah, please do. Thank you.
Yeah. So B-roll is the footage that is in support of the A-roll. So A and B-roll comes from the old days where you actually were like, dealing with actual film strips. So the B-roll is sort of the supporting material. And again, if you look at this example, it's an example of a woman being interviewed. She's a dog photographer. So while she talks about her love of working with dogs, and every dog is different and every dog has its own personality, rather than seeing her talk, we're actually watching her shooting dogs, playing with the dogs. We see the dogs, and it really goes under, show, don't tell. It's just so powerful. So B-roll is the footage that you shoot that supports what is being said. or supports your story with images beyond the talking head. And it's used a lot, obviously, documentary style videos. So when you actually go out and shoot this yourself, a lot of people make the mistake that they make a couple of mistakes. One is they go way too wide. If you're covering B-roll, you really want to make sure that you're going in close, and then you get little moments and get discrete moments. So rather than, let's say, your kid's soccer game, and rather than sitting in the stands and getting the whole game, the whole field, which is completely not engaging, you want to go in and maybe get, that little pass off from, the ball from one kid to another, or you want to get them, in close up running through the frame. Because that is really, that tells the story much more powerfully if you get these little close-up moments, especially if you're, beginning cinematographer, or, you're doing this not professionally. Again, keep it very simple, and to keep it to discrete moments and a discrete thing happening within the frame. And the other thing you want to pay attention to is to not move your camera. Let the action happen within the frame. So let the action be what you shoot, and not you running around with the camera, or you panning around like crazy. All it does is it's going to make your audience nauseous, and it's going to make editing a pain in the ass. So keep your framing steady, and let the action develop within the frame. That's sort of the quick one on B-roll. When you are delivering to camera yourself, these are just a couple of pointers. Obviously, speak clearly and speak up. I always try to shoot people standing. You have much better posture. Your clothes looks better because it falls. It's not all bunched up from sitting. I tend to try and use a neutral background so it's not distracting. Says me with, all the bookshelf behind me. And then, if you're a hand talker, let people talk with their hands. A lot of people are like, oh, you have to have your hands down. I don't want to see your hands, blah, blah, blah. It's like, again, this goes into being, authentic and being vulnerable and being you. If you're a hand talker and you like to use your hands, use your hands. And this is just a quick tip. If you are interviewing someone, let's say you're doing an interview with a testimonial with a customer, or you make sure that if you have a specific answer that you're looking for that's really important to you, don't make that your first question unless it's a one-question interview. But even then, start with just superficial stuff like what's your name and where you're from, or just stuff like that. And the question that you really want the answer to, that is the last question you ask. Just to give people a chance, especially if they're non-professionals, to warm up in front of the camera. That's it for shoot. Moving on to editing. Here, just some software suggestions. Is basically for Mac users. I recommend iMovie. iMovie comes out with updates every other day. It's moved from being clunky to being actually a really good software. I'm actually very surprised how good they have become and how much you can do with iMovie.
My girlfriend is, just for the record, she is a professional vlogger person, and she uses iMovie, and she does really good stuff. And she's got almost no history or background or whatever.
Yeah. So iMovie is a fairly quick learning curve. There are tons of videos out there to learn it. I must say, I'm very impressed. And I mean, even the in-phone version is a full-featured editing app at this point. When it comes to Androids, and I must say there, if anybody has any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. I'm still recommending PowerDirector, but that is because other people have told me to recommend that. I don't use, I have a tablet that I barely can fumble myself through. So that's what I hear is a good software, but I wouldn't know it from experience. There's two different cloud platforms available, Magisto and Animoto. They're both okay. I would still say if you have access to iMovie, definitely use iMovie. Magisto is free on the phone, on the iPhone, and there's a paid version on a platform. It is AI based, so artificial intelligence based. So if you have let's say, slideshows that you want to set to music, and you want to make sure the slideshow like nicely syncs with the music, which if you're doing it manually editing, it's a huge time sink, but actually Magisto does it for you. So if that's something you're interested in doing, I would definitely look into Magisto, because it offers that as a solution, because it's AI based. And then Animoto is one of those really super simple online platforms, but because it's super simple, it drives me absolutely mad in terms of the cutting is very imprecise. You have no control over your audio and no control over your graphics. But it has split screen templates, which are really awesome. So, you know, you gain some, you lose some. Thoughts on editing? All I can say is cut, cut, cut. Keep it super short. Don't fall in love with any of your shots, because inevitably it will lead to heartbreak. I speak from years of experience. And then again, keep it short. Remember the goldfish, right? You have the first, so front load your video. At this point, you're front loading. Everything you want to get out there, it needs to be there in like those first 8 seconds to get people either to continue watching, or that after those 8 seconds, they got at least the most important thing, which is, you know, I don't know what that thing is in your video, but it might be your name and your logo and your product. So keep it short. B-roll, we talk about B-roll, how to shoot it. And so B-roll, what it does really is, first of all, I think that's the single most important thing. It illustrates what's being said or what's not being said. And it shows rather than tells. So that is the main purpose of B-roll. But I also think that it's a great tool to cover up transitions and any kind of boo-boos. Like, for instance, I love to talk in circles and a lot of M's. So if I go into too many M's within one sentence, if I were to make a cut every time, it would be like jump, 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 jump. It would look awful. But if I put a slide on top of it, or I put a B-roll shot on top of it, no one knows that, right? Because the audio is continuous, and I've covered up my boo-boos with some nice B-roll that supports what it is that I'm saying. And this here, it makes insufferable content palatable. That comes from my years and years of working with executives in Fortune 500 companies. The next couple of slides are all resources. So they're image resources, audio resources, animation resources. I'm not going to go through it with you because I'm looking at time. I want to get to the questions. So just go through these. These are all great resources that you can use for cheap or free, you know, images, stock footage, music, sound effects, etc. This slide, again, not going to go through it. It is a step-by-step on how to survive an edit, meaning what do you want to do first in that? Because there's a million things you're doing in an edit. What do you want to do first so you don't have to backtrack or redo things again? So have a look through that. The top line is get the content that is the audio down first. So the talking head part or the voiceover part, and then edit to that because then that dictates everything else. Here, a link to a quick video I shot on how to set up an iMovie edit on your phone. And that concludes the edit part. And distribution, let's see, it's already 38. What do I want to, so let me just show the slide quickly. So when you upload a video to YouTube, assuming that most of us are hosting on YouTube, make sure that you do, for search engine optimization purposes, you do take care of this part down here. Give it a title. Make sure you write who you are and how you can be contacted in the description. I put a full transcription into the description. Make sure you use your tags. I create playlists because playlists surface higher in search engine optimization than videos that are not in a playlist. And I always upload a custom thumbnail just to control that it's a pretty picture of whomever is in the video, or a picture that tells the story of the video. And I put a nice little graphic interface over it now for my vlog, so all my vlogs look the same and have a bit of a, you know, an identity. And I think that's about it. I mean, obviously there's the other thing I want to just quickly about hosting. Is everybody clear on what hosting and embedding is? Okay, great. Very good. And you can always put it into questions. So, questions.
Hold on, I wrote some notes. 1 second.
Whiteboard videos. Do you have any, I guess, resources on how to do those? Because I know for a lot of my clients, those are a pretty big request.
What kind of videos?
Whiteboard.
Yeah, so anything that goes into animation is not my real house. There are some, Scribe is a whiteboard animation software. I've used it. I found it to be extremely cumbersome. So with any of these platforms, and there's tons of them out there for either whiteboard or, you know, stick figure animation or whatever, the experience I've had is you get what you pay for. I know people who've done them quite successfully, but they just burn an intern on learning one of the more advanced softwares, and they do, you know, they do them bulk. I think that's the biggest thing, is to do them bulk. So if you know you need whiteboard, do like 10 of them in one go. And I will go to I will go on Upwork and look for whiteboard animation artists and do it that way.
That was what I was doing, but I just wanted to consider maybe bringing it in house. Because I know for me, I do social media a lot.
Yeah,
that's my company, and so video somewhere where we're looking to definitely grow in second half of 2017, and so possibly bringing some expertise in house about that. It's going to be critical, I think, to grow.
Yeah, and you know, I find I'm a fan of shooting actual people, and it's just, you know, I think that especially if we're small business owners, the way we distinguish ourselves from our competition, I find, is by people wanting to work with us, because it's a small business proposition. So if you're hiding yourself behind a whiteboard, you're kind of taking away what makes video so powerful, which is creating that personal connection. Because a whiteboard is really, I would only use a whiteboard, let's say, I do these little definition of, I call it definition day, or jargon explained. I just changed to jargon explained. That would be maybe something I would do with a whiteboard. It would be like a 10-second thing where I'm explaining a terminology out of film production, right? But anything else, I think I want to use video to create that personal connection between me, the likable expert, or the owner who's passionate about what it is that I do, and show myself and show my face. So I find animation and whiteboard to be, in certain instances, yes, usable, but not broad spectrum, and certainly not for maybe the entire video. You know, it might be an element of a video, but not the whole video.
Tanya, this is interesting considering the built to sell, because trying to pull myself as the business owner out of the business and to rely more on, you know, sales staff, things of that nature going forward, I guess I'm just hesitant to make videos with me being the feature of the video, instead of relying on sales staff, because something I want to avoid is I don't want people coming to me. And that's just a personal thing. But I do have clients who talk about that. They say that, well, I don't want to be in a video, because I had a discussion with a couple of clients about, you know, doing video for their profiles, and they don't want to be in a video personally because they don't want clients coming to them. They want their salespeople to deal with inquiries and such. And so there is that bit of a dichotomy. Have you experienced that, Nina?
Well, my clients are smaller, so they don't have a sales staff. But I mean, from my days of doing big corporate, I'm familiar with that. So, you know, you can always, well, I mean, but you can put your sales staff into video, right? Because, and that's the other thing, you know, I think a lot of us still think of video as like this big production, this big thing, and you don't want to do it with your sales staff because they might, you know, you might have high attrition or whatever. But again, these videos that, you know, I'm talking about that you do yourself, these are if this is something you do regularly, this becomes a 20-minute affair. It's no longer this 4-day huge production.
Also, the experts like Gary Vee and all those people, they still do themselves, and then they are the brand. They have their sales support answering all the questions and converting it, because you're getting an image of a big company, right? You're just one of the people there.
Yeah, I think you still want to have people, and especially, and when I say people, I should be more precise. So I think especially millennials. So what is now coming up through the pipeline as the strongest purchasing force, that is an audience, or that is a buying power that wants to connect personally. So even if you want to extract yourself from the day-to-day business, you are still the face of the business. You're still the person that people connect with, and you're the one who stands for the guarantee or the quality or the fun or whatever it is that you're selling, right? That thing that you're selling that you're not selling, being reliable, being whatever. That still comes from you, no matter whether you have a sales force or not. So I would think it's really still very important, even as a medium-sized company with a sales force, that you personalize yourself and your sales force, and not hide behind animation and whiteboard.
Do you have a system or like someone you outsource to transcribe your videos?
Yes and no. So what I do is that both YouTube does the transcription for you. So what I do, the process I do is I upload, and then I go into closed captioning, and YouTube creates a closed captioning for you. And then I go into the closed captioning and I clean it up. It's become very precise. It's actually really good, and it's made friends with my accent even. And then what I do is, once I've cleaned it up, I export that just as a Word document. You can do that on YouTube. And then I just take out the line breaks and the time codes. It just takes a couple of seconds.
Oh,
and then that becomes my transcription. And I've just created steps for a VA to do that for me. But the transcription, I mean, again, my videos are 3 minutes max, more around 90 seconds. So even if I sit there and type it myself, it takes 10 minutes. So that's another beauty of having short videos.
Got it. Can you go to slide 7, please?
Yes.
Yeah. So, so Instagram, is that what you're saying is the capacity? Like that's a limit, 60 seconds?
It was until recently. I don't know whether it's changed again, and maybe I have.
No, I just wanted to know the stats on there because I wasn't sure what I was looking at. Yeah. Was it like the recommended time, or was it the capacity?
No, the cutoff time.
Cutoff time. Okay. And then, do you have any kind of stats on like the recommendations for each one? Or is it just 8 seconds to make sure you have it, or?
Yeah, I don't see any. I mean, all the recommendations I see, and that's, my recommendation too, is just to keep it short.
What's considered short?
30 seconds and shorter.
30 seconds and shorter.
And this is another thing. I mean, that's another thing I saw in those white papers I was digesting this weekend is, do a lot of, the idea is to do a lot of testing. So you do a video, you put it out there, you see how it works. That's, I guess, where the analytic parts comes in. See how it performs. And if it doesn't perform, you just change it, and you keep changing, and you can keep changing the same video, make it shorter, make it longer. If you are on a host, like for instance, Vistia, it'll show you exactly where people stop watching. And you can see what happens where you can go into your video and see, like, okay, what am I saying there? Why am I losing people there? What is happening at that conjunction? Is that something I need to cut out? Is that something that everything after is just not that relevant anymore? Is it something that I need to reshuffle? So, you have so many tools nowadays at your disposal to keep working. And a lot of people, I was just at this conference in Boston, Vistia, but it was sponsored by Vistia. And it's the only conference for business video in the country. And all millennial and me. And I mean, these kids are just playing with the same video over and over and over and over again until they get it right. I mean, it's just a completely different way of approaching video production than, you know, what I was still used to just a couple of years ago, where, you know, once a video was done, it was like that piece of art that stayed away and that was it, right? And that's just not the case anymore.
What's the difference between Wistia and YouTube? Like, why would you want to go to Wistia beyond like understand the analytics?
So case in point, I just had a friend who allowed me to use a video of his as a testimonial. And I'd sent this testimonial to quite a few clients, the link, and I'd hosted it on YouTube. He switched jobs and he called me in a panic and said I had to take the video down immediately. And I was like, I can't take that video down. It's like, it's embedded on my website. The link, you know, is sent to all these people. And anyway, long story short, I had to take it down, or I did take it down because I like my friend. And now my clients are sitting on a broken link. If I were with Wistia, I could have replaced the video. On YouTube, I cannot. So that for me, that in itself is a huge thing. The other huge thing is, for instance, I'm hosting 2 videos on my website that make no sense if they're not on my website. Where, you know what I was talking about context earlier? And I had, I've embedded them on my website, but I said to YouTube, don't allow embedding. Of course, and what I meant by don't allow embedding is I meant don't allow other people to download my video, because on its own it doesn't make sense. But then it stopped playing properly on my website. So I have not enough control functions for privacy or for managing the way I want my YouTube videos to be downloaded. And by the way, there's an app called Conv, C-O-N-V, with which you can download any video on YouTube, whether it is set to private or not. And that's
What's it called again?
C-O-N-V dot. Yeah.
C-O-N-V .net or com?
No, just dot. So what you do is you have the www dot and then YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And what you do is between the www dot and the YouTube, you type in conv dot. And that brings you to, and you refresh the browser and it brings you to a page where you can either download as an MP4, an MP3, or something else.
Wow, that's really cool.
It is cool, but it's also pretty scary.
Huh.
I think, well, privately set videos you don't even see, but anything that's set as because on YouTube you only have 2 settings, right? You have the unlisted and the and the public. And then under here, if you go under where is it?
Well, what's coming up for me is YouTube has distribution. Wistia doesn't. So then I would have to still upload it for YouTube to get that distribution.
Yeah, but that's a different kind of video. So if you want a video to go viral, or you want a video to, that lives on its own feet, you definitely want to put it on YouTube, and you want to natively upload it definitely to Facebook, because, Facebook and YouTube.
When she means native, guys, it's you have to have a file. Like you can't share like the old days on Facebook where you grab a YouTube link and you put it in. You actually have to upload a file.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that. So when YouTube is owned by Google and Facebook are in a competitive relationship. So if you link to YouTube, or if you're hosting on YouTube, a video won't get as good a search engine, like the algorithm won't have it come up to the surface as quickly. So native upload means that you're actually uploading the actual video file to that platform. And on Facebook, you definitely want to be native.
Cool. Anyone have questions? I know I just asked a couple. Anyone else? Chris, we can't hear you. Oh no, let me unmute you. Okay, you're unmuted.
Okay, yeah, I have a comment more so than a question. You know how you were saying, Nina, that you need to be authentic? I've also found that, I guess this wouldn't be being artificial, but I found that like there are a couple things I need to do to like make my delivery smoother. Like I didn't realize that I tend to bug my eyes out. So it's like I try to relax my eyes, and I have to like make sure not to squint. And then also I found that like I have to inject energy into my voice because I've watched videos back and I sound very monotone. Mm-hmm. So I kind of bump it up a notch when I'm delivering a video. Mm-hmm. So that's not exactly being authentic, but it's kind of tweaking my delivery like how you were saying about the eye lines, not have your eyes shifting around so you don't look shifty.
Yeah, I mean, getting it right, and it's also, again, it's about trying out things. Like I in the beginning, I did all my videos very sort of, because that was the world I was coming from, corporate video for, like, the AstraZenecas and the Pfizers and the IBMs of the world. And it took me a while to realize what people liked, and all my sort of more professional videos, which are still the ones that are on my website and are about to change, were very sort of serious. And then I started doing my vlog, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, it's so cool, I love your video, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, because I'm sitting at my desk, I'm casual, I'm not as stiff, I'm more myself, I crack a joke, and if I talk around in circles a couple of times, I let myself. So those videos are much more popular, and I'm getting a lot of really positive feedback versus the ones that are very sort of proper. So, and I think for everybody it's different, and that's just a playing around with it and seeing what works. And your audience might be different too. If I'm marketing towards people more my age that might expect a little bit more of a formal delivery because that's what they're used to, then that's what you do. And if you're catering to millennials or even digital natives, teens, then it's going to be a completely different video.
Right.
Oh, do you want to start? I'm sorry, go on.
Well, I just had one question. Do you feel that every video has to have a specific call to action? Like, for example, if I post a trailer for my documentary, it's not for sale yet, and I'm not taking pre-orders, but it's just to generate interest. There's no direct call to action. It's more to keep potential viewers engaged. So does every video have to have a specific, like, do this at the end of the video? Or
I think it's a missed opportunity if you don't, because even if you don't have a call to action, it could, it doesn't have to be an in-your-face do this. It can be a visit our Facebook page, or just something like at this stage, Chris, you probably want to start collecting email addresses, or you want to make sure that people flock to your social media. So when you do sell your doc, you have already an audience built in that is eager to buy from you.
Right.
So it can be a soft sell, it can be soft call to action, but I just always think if you go through all these freaking steps, plus SEO and plus everything else, then it would be a missed opportunity not to put a call to action at the end.
Right.
Well, so let's go with your owner's up offer.
All right. So I feel like I need to extend it after I bumbled like the first 10 minutes trying to get my PowerPoint up. So, so for 90 minutes from now, starting in 2 minutes, if anybody who sends me a link to a video that you have done or one that you would like to do, send the link to me. My email is nina@clockwiseproductions.com. And I will get on the phone with you and go through that video and discuss what you could do different or better, or just give you feedback, or give you a step-by-step reality check on how you could do a video if you want to send me a video that you would like to do but haven't done yet.
Cool.
And then since I said in the introduction that you had to charge your iPhones, I have a challenge because I know Tanya loves her challenges. So I figured I need to put a challenge in there. So for 24 hours from now, and I had to limit this to the first 3 people because I'm also leaving for Europe in 2 weeks. I wanted to make sure I could deliver on this. If you shoot a video to talk about what your most valuable takeaway from this webinar was, other than I don't know how to use my computer, edit it and upload it to YouTube as a public and embeddable video, and send me the link again to nina@clockwiseproductions.com. You'll get a full-on 2-hour coaching session, 60 minutes each.
Cool. Awesome. So we'll send this link around. If you want to send the Dropbox here, let me.
Yeah, I can do that right now. Now that I'm not like helping.
Here, I have it right here. I'll just put it in the chat box, guys. So
Yes.
Everybody has it. And thank you so much, Nina. This is wonderful.
Yes, once we got it started.
All right, guys. Until the next Knowledge Up, 12 p.m. next Wednesday. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.